Ganbaru is the Japanese parenting rule that creates teenagers who are self-motivated. It means to persist or do your best, and it's completely different from how we motivate teens in the West. Instead of using bribes, nagging, or even threats to get motivation out of your teen, Ganbaru takes the opposite approach. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to use it using a 3-step process, starting with praising process over intelligence. Japanese parents understand that how you praise your teen determines how their brain becomes wired for motivation. When you praise intelligence, saying things like, "You're so smart," or "You're naturally good at this," you accidentally teach your teen that their worth comes from being naturally gifted. And here's the problem. The moment they hit something difficult, they think, well, I guess I'm not as smart at this, and they give up. Whereas when Japanese parents see their teenagers succeed, they praise the effort behind it. They'll say things like, "I can see how much time you put into studying for that test," or "You really persisted through that difficult chapter." This teaches teens their effort and persistence. Their ganbaru is what creates success. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how your teenager can spend hours mastering a difficult video game? They'll die 50 times fighting the same boss, watch tutorial videos, practice combos over and over, and push through massive frustration. That's ganbaru in action. They already have this incredible skill of persistence. They just don't know how to transfer it to school or other areas of life. For example, let's say your teen just came home excited because they got a good grade on a test that they were worried about. Your response might be to say, "See, you're really smart when you apply yourself." But to respond using ganbaru, try saying something like, "I noticed you spent extra time reviewing those practice problems this week. That persistence really paid off. You should feel proud of how hard you worked." When you start praising process instead of intelligence, your teenager begins to see challenges differently. Instead of thinking, "This is too hard, I must not be good at this," they start thinking, "This is hard, but if I keep working at it like I do with my games, I can figure it out," just like they do in video games. Essentially, you're helping them transfer the motivation they already have in one area of their life to every other area where they need it. But praising process alone isn't enough. The second piece that makes ganbaru work is replacing reward-based motivation with something much more powerful, effort-based systems. And this is where Western parents often struggle because you've been conditioned to think that bigger rewards create bigger motivation. So you say things like, "If you get an A on this test, I'll give you $50. Or "Clean your room and you can have extra screen time." You think you're motivating them, but you're actually teaching them to only try when there's something in it for them. But the truth is, outcome-based rewards don't create lasting motivation. In fact, research shows they can actually kill internal drive. When your teen knows that consistent effort leads to earned independence, or that showing ganbaru means more trust and privileges, they actually feel empowered. They're not constantly wondering, "What's in it for me?" Instead, they think, "My effort matters and leads to good things," which means way less nagging from you and way more self-motivation from them. A simple way to implement this is to not have screen time be based on completed homework. Instead, it's based on demonstrated effort and persistence. When teens know that their persistence is what matters, they stop avoiding challenges and they start embracing them. They can actually become internally motivated instead of just working for external rewards. But this only works if you're consistent. If you reward effort on Monday, but go back to outcome-based bribes on Tuesday, what happens is your teen starts to think, "Wait, what actually matters here? My effort or my results?" And this creates confusion. That confusion is what makes teens stop trying when things get difficult, because they're literally trying to figure out what you really want and whether their effort actually counts. So before you create any new system, it's really important that you have a conversation with everyone who influences your teenager. This might be your partner, your teen's other parent, or even teachers if possible. You just want to get everyone on the same page about recognizing effort over outcomes. Because when the adults are consistent about valuing effort and ganbaru, teens stop performing for rewards and they start developing real internal motivation. And that's when you see genuine drive without the constant battles. But there's one more piece that makes all the difference, and it completely changes how you handle those moments when your teen wants to give up on something difficult. Instead of saying you need to try harder or stop being so lazy, Japanese parents ask, "What persistent skill does my teen need to learn here?" When your teenager quits their math homework after 10 minutes saying, "I'm just not a math person," they're not being lazy or trying to avoid responsibility. They just haven't learned how to push through intellectual difficulty yet. When they only want to do activities they're naturally good at and avoid anything challenging, they're not being entitled. They haven't learned that struggle is where growth happens. And when they seem incredibly motivated and persistent for gaming, but completely unmotivated for school, they might not be addicted or hopeless. They just haven't learned how to transfer their persistence skills to other areas of their life. This shift in thinking works because instead of fighting the behavior you don't want, you start actively teaching the persistence skill they're missing. And that's when you see real lasting motivation, because your teenager actually knows how to push through difficulty. Here's how it might look in practice. Imagine your teen comes home to you frustrated, saying, "This history essay is impossible. I just can't do it." And they're about to slam their laptop shut. Instead of lecturing them about not giving up and then hoping they'll just figure out how to persist, you would help them practice the persistence skills they already use in gaming. You could try saying something like, "I notice when you're stuck on a difficult boss fight in your game, you don't just quit. You try different strategies. You have amazing persistence skills. Let's use that approach here. What's the first thing you do when you're stuck in a game?" They might say something like, "I look up guides on YouTube or try a different approach." Then you would say, "Exactly. So what would the guide equivalent for this essay be?" Maybe we look at some essay examples. Now, if your teen is too frustrated or overwhelmed to think clearly at this point, that's okay. Your first priority is to help them calm down. So you might need to suggest to take a break, go for a walk, or do something that helps them reset, and then come back to practice this persistence skill when they're ready to learn. Just remember, if their break involves doom scrolling or gaming, it's unlikely to lead them to come back to work on the essay. So if your teen is willing to work with you, then you would help them break down the essay the same way they break down a gaming challenge. You might say, "Okay, in your games, you tackle one objective at a time. What if we made your first objective just writing one paragraph about the main topic? That's it. Just like completing one quest before moving on to the next." This is what creates a breakthrough. Your teenager actually learns how to transfer their gaming persistence to schoolwork, which means less giving up, less frustration, and more genuine motivation to tackle difficult things. So the next time your teen wants to give up on something difficult, ask yourself, what persistent skill do they actually need help with here? Because this is where you can start helping them see they already have these persistent skills. They just need to learn how to use them in different situations. And that's when they stop being the teenager who can spend 6 hours learning a complex video game, but won't spend 10 minutes on homework. Instead, they become the teenager who says, "This is hard, but I know I can figure it out if I approach it like I do my games." But even when you understand Ganbaro and start recognizing your teen's effort, some teenagers will still be completely unmotivated for anything outside of gaming. And there's actually a very specific reason why this happens, and it has nothing to do with you as a parent. The truth is, gaming companies have designed their products to hijack the same motivation systems that should be driving your teen toward pursuing real-life goals. And I show you exactly how this works in this video on your screen right now. So if you're concerned that your teenager is wasting hours every day on games while their real life falls apart, make sure you check it out, and I'll see you there.